I don't care. You're lame. And them is lame too.
Cardi B just went scorched earth on Offset after he had the audacity to mock her on the Joe Budden podcast, claiming none of his exes went up. But what triggered this meltdown goes deeper than shade. It involves the Super Bowl, Stephon Diggs, and Offset's own side chick. The mockery that started a war. Yo, sit down for this one because what we're about to unpack isn't just celebrity drama. It's a full-blown cultural earthquake that shook the internet from the Super Bowl stage all the way down to the comment sections of every gossip blog in America. We're talking about the moment Offset, Kiari Kendrell Cephas himself, decided to open his mouth on the Joe Budden podcast and throw the most disrespectful shade at every woman he's ever been with, and more specifically, at the one woman who held him down through years of embarrassment, public humiliation, and scandal after scandal after scandal. Belcalis Marlenis Almanzar Cephas, Cardi B. And what did Cardi do when she heard those words? She didn't just respond. She didn't just clap back. She detonated like a bomb that had been ticking for 9 straight years. Let's set the stage properly so you understand the magnitude of what happened. January 2026, Offset slides onto the Joe Budden podcast looking comfortable, looking confident, looking like a man who has completely and conveniently erased his own history from his memory, and with the kind of audacity only a man who forgot every single scandal attached to his name could muster. He delivers a line that would echo across every timeline on X, every Reddit thread, every barbershop debate, and every group chat in America for weeks. Roll the clip.
I ain't never met none that I left went up, so I don't know how to experience.
None that I left went up. Let that simmer for a second. Let that marinate in the absolute absurdity of who is saying it. This is a man whose serial infidelity was documented from the very first year of his marriage. Cheating videos surfacing in December 2017, barely 3 months after their secret September wedding. 3 months. The ink on the marriage certificate wasn't even dry, and this man was already out here getting caught on camera with other women. This is a man whose name became synonymous with groupie love, who admitted infidelity in interviews and had the nerve to blame it on the lifestyle, like the lifestyle forced him to betray the woman carrying his child. This is the same man who crashed Cardi's Rolling Loud set in 2018 with a "Take Me Back" sign made of roses, begging for forgiveness on a public stage while the entire world watched and half the internet cringed. And now, this same man sits in a podcast chair telling the world that nobody he left went up. The audacity wasn't just disrespectful, it was historically, provably, embarrassingly delusional. Because the woman he's implying didn't go up, she's a multi-platinum, Grammy-winning artist who literally just performed at the Super Bowl. But we'll get to that part. The moment that clip hit the internet, Cardi went absolutely nuclear. She took to Instagram Live, her battlefield of choice, the platform where she's made careers and ended them, and she did not hold a single thing back. The raw emotion, the fury, the pain that had been compounding for nearly a decade of betrayal and broken promises came pouring out of her like volcanic lava, hot and unstoppable. And here's the thing about Cardi B that you need to understand. When she's hurt, she doesn't whisper. She doesn't send a subliminal. She screams her truth to every single person willing to listen.
I blocked you. Even though I know you was gonna go to Atlanta, and I was like, I didn't want to know what you was doing out there. I told you I blocked.
That clip right there tells you everything you need to know about the entire dynamic of this relationship from start to finish. Cardi knew, she always knew, that every single time Offset touched down in Atlanta, there were women waiting for him. She blocked him not because she didn't care, but precisely because she cared too much, and the knowing was destroying her from the inside out. She didn't want the confirmation. She didn't want to see the receipts. She didn't want her phone blowing up with screenshots. She just wanted to survive the marriage without losing her mind. And for years, through pregnancy, through postpartum, through public scandal after public scandal, that's exactly what she tried to do. She swallowed the humiliation. She took him back after filing for divorce in 2020, then took him back again after the 2023 accusations where Offset himself went on Instagram story accusing Cardi of being unfaithful, a post he deleted almost immediately, only for Cardi to clap back calling him country and fans to light up X with over 10K likes on posts, calling it karma for both. But the blocking, the silence, the self-preservation tactics she deployed to protect her own sanity, none of it stopped the disrespect from coming. And when Offset hit that Joe Budden podcast and sat there acting like he was the prize that women should be grateful to have had, Cardi snapped. She went right back on that Instagram Live and delivered the line that had the entire internet on the floor.
I don't care. You're lame. And them is lame too.
Lame. That's the word she chose. Not toxic, not narcissist, not any of the clinical therapy speak vocabulary the internet loves to throw around. Lame. Because in Cardi's world, in the Bronx, in the streets, in the culture, calling a man lame is the ultimate dismissal. It strips away every piece of bravado, every chain, every Instagram flex, every podcast tough guy moment. It says, you are not significant enough to hurt me anymore. You and every single woman you've ever entertained while you were supposed to be my husband are beneath me. And she meant every syllable of that with her entire chest. But Cardi wasn't done, not by a long shot, because what Offset clearly didn't realize, or maybe what he absolutely did realize, and that's exactly why he was acting out on national podcasts, is that Cardi had been sitting on a volcano of regret and resentment that went back to the very foundation of their relationship. Back to 2017, back to Selena Powell's claims of affairs with Offset during that first year, back to the pregnancy with Kulture when, according to leaked allegations that resurfaced in 2026, Offset allegedly abandoned Cardi during the birth of their firstborn daughter. And so when the dam finally broke after that podcast shade, what came out wasn't just anger, it was grief. Pure, unfiltered, years in the making grief.
Not none of them. But you. I regret you. I'm too good for you. I always been too good for you.
I regret you. 3 words that carry the weight of an entire marriage collapsing in public view, of every second chance given and thrown away. I'm too good for you. I always been too good for you. And the streets agreed, unanimously. The woman who filed for divorce in July 2024, citing irreconcilable differences, who had their daughter Blossom born in September of that year while the marriage was actively disintegrating, who endured Offset commenting on her lives, accusing her of being intimate with someone while pregnant, to which Cardi fired back with her now legendary "and did." That woman had earned the right to say she was too good because the numbers don't lie, the accolades don't lie, the career trajectory doesn't lie. And Offset's podcast shade, it wasn't just wrong. It was embarrassingly, provably, historically wrong. And that's just part 1, because what came next, the Super Bowl, the woman named Pre, Stefon Diggs, and the most ironic twist in modern celebrity drama, that's where this story goes from personal to absolutely unhinged. The Super Bowl betrayal and the ghost of Offset's past. By the time February 2026 rolled around, Cardi B had done what everybody, every troll, every blogger, every armchair relationship expert on Reddit told her she couldn't do. She moved on. She left Offset behind and she did not look back. She started a whole new chapter of her life with NFL wide receiver Stefon Diggs, confirmed their relationship publicly at a Knicks game in mid-2025, announced her pregnancy with him by September, and welcomed a baby boy in November, name still undisclosed to this day. The narrative around Cardi B had completely and fundamentally shifted. The blogs were calling it an upgrade. X was buzzing with takes like, Cardi upgraded from rapper drama to NFL money, that's a power move. She was glowing in every paparazzi shot. She was radiating peace in every interview. She was about to perform at the Super Bowl alongside Bad Bunny. Life, for all appearances, had finally turned a corner towards something resembling happiness and stability. But here's where the universe, or karma, or fate, or whatever higher power you believe writes the script of celebrity relationships, decided to author the cruelest, most poetic, most devastatingly ironic plot twist that anyone in the history of modern celebrity drama has ever witnessed. Super Bowl LX, February 8th and 9th, 2026. The New England Patriots lose 29-13. Diggs' team gets absolutely blown out on the biggest stage in all of professional sports. Cardi performs at halftime, but leaves the venue early, which immediately sets off alarm bells across every gossip blog and fan forum on the internet. And then, the digital world doesn't just buzz, it detonates. Because sitting in the friends and family section of that stadium, wearing a WAGS jacket, standing on the secure field, holding credentials and access that only comes from being personally and deliberately invited by one of the players, was a woman named Pre. And Pre wasn't just any woman off the street. Pre was Offset's alleged former mistress. Read that again and let it truly sink in. The man Cardi left because he would not stop entertaining other women behind her back. One of those very women, one of the women who played a role in the destruction of Cardi's marriage, was now in the building at the Super Bowl, wearing a WAGS jacket, invited by Cardi's brand new man. You cannot write this. Hollywood would reject this screenplay for being too unrealistic. Pre posted "I love you" to Diggs on social media, while Cardi was literally on that stage performing for over 100 million viewers around the world. The level of disrespect was so surgical, so precise, so seemingly calculated that fans immediately started asking the questions that needed to be asked. Did Diggs know about the Offset connection? Did he know exactly who this woman was and what she represented in the context of Cardi's trauma? Did he invite her knowing the full history, knowing the pain it would cause, knowing that this woman's presence in his family section would be the ultimate slap in the face? Because if the answer to any of those questions is yes, then what happened at that Super Bowl wasn't just being unfaithful, it was psychological warfare executed on a national stage. Within hours of the final whistle, Tasha K leaked alleged receipts connecting Diggs and Pre, and the timing made the whole thing exponentially more devastating, because rumors had been circulating for weeks that Diggs was planning to propose to Cardi, a proposal. She was supposed to get a ring, and instead she got the worst night of her year. On top of the Pre-revelation, Diggs was also accused of involvement with his ex-girlfriend, Sky Marlene, compounding the betrayal into something that felt almost cartoonishly cruel in its layers. Cardi and Diggs unfollowed each other on Instagram within the same night, the modern-day equivalent of changing the locks. A source confirmed a recent breakup, though possible reconciliation wasn't entirely ruled out. And the internet collectively, unanimously, and completely lost its mind. 50 Cent, never one to miss a single opportunity to insert himself into somebody else's drama, trolled the entire situation, posting "Get away from me" with that signature 50 Cent humor that always hits. So much harder when the person on the receiving end is already flat on the canvas. X was absolutely on fire with reactions. Cardi left Offset for cheating, now Diggs is messing around with Offset's side chick? This is absolute madness. Reddit exploded overnight with thousands of comments debating whether this was karma coming full circle, whether it was a deliberate setup, whether the entire thing was somehow orchestrated by forces unknown. Because the symmetry of this situation was almost too perfect, too clean, too narratively satisfying to be purely coincidental. Think about it. Cardi left a cheater, found a new man, got cheated on by the new man with the old cheater's woman. If a screenwriter pitched this exact storyline to any studio executive in Hollywood, that script would come back with a note that says, "Too unrealistic, audiences won't buy it." And yet here we are, watching it play out in real time on Instagram. And through all of this chaos, through the entire Super Bowl meltdown playing out in real time across every social media platform on the planet, where was Offset? Quiet, suspiciously, deliberately, almost performatively quiet. No direct public response, no Instagram story, no tweet, nothing. But silence from Offset doesn't mean absence, and leaks suggested an ongoing obsession with the situation. Insiders whispered that Offset was allegedly behind some of the strategic leaks to blogs, timing information drops, and feeding gossip outlets to maximize Cardi's public embarrassment at the worst possible moment. Whether that's fully confirmed or not, the timing of his January podcast shade, that "none that I left went up" line, now looked way less like casual commentary and way more like a calculated, premeditated, strategically timed grenade. He threw that line on Joe Budden's show, knowing the Super Bowl was coming, knowing the pre-situation was already brewing behind the scenes, knowing that those words would hit 1,000 times harder once Cardi's so-called upgrade publicly crumbled on the biggest stage in American sports. But here's what Offset fundamentally did not account for, and what every man who has ever underestimated Belcalis Almanzar has failed to understand. Cardi B does not fold. She does not retreat into silence. She does not go dark and nurse her wounds in private while the world points and laughs. No, she went right back on Instagram Live, her digital war zone, the platform where she is at her most raw, her most honest, and her most dangerous. And she addressed the vulnerability, the manipulation, and the recurring pattern of men in her life, exploiting the exact moments when she's emotionally exposed.
Yo, this really like to play games with me when I'm at my most vulnerable time, when I'm not the most confident.
That right there is the unfiltered truth. That's not a performance for the cameras. That's not a calculated media move designed to generate sympathy. That's a woman who has lived through enough cycles of betrayal to recognize the pattern with crystal clear, heartbreaking clarity. Offset played his games when she was pregnant, when she was postpartum, when she was at her absolute lowest trying to hold together a marriage that he was actively demolishing from the inside. And now, in the aftermath of the Super Bowl humiliation, she can see the exact same playbook running again with a different man in a different jersey. They wait for the low point. They wait for the exact moment you're already questioning your own judgment and your own worth. And then they strike because they know you're too hurt, too exhausted, and too emotionally drained to fight back at full strength.
He likes to play games with me because he knows I'm not an easy girl.
He knows I'm not an easy girl. That line carries layers upon layers of meaning. It means he knows she's not someone who just rolls over, accepts the disrespect, and moves on quietly. He knows she fights back, publicly, loudly, and devastatingly, and that's precisely why he targets the vulnerable moments, the hairline cracks in her armor, because those are the only windows where his manipulative games have any chance of actually landing a blow. The rest of the time, Cardi's armor is too thick to penetrate. Her confidence is too towering to undermine. Her mouth is too sharp and her platform is too massive for anyone to outmaneuver her. So he waits, patiently, strategically, for the opening. And that cold, deliberate, calculating emotional timing is exactly what transforms this entire situation from standard celebrity beef into something genuinely sinister. Threats, receipts, and the war that isn't over. Now here's where this story takes a hard, sharp turn from messy and dramatic to genuinely dangerous territory. Territory where we're no longer talking about Instagram unfollows and subliminal podcast shots, but about potential criminal liability and real-world consequences. Because Offset's behavior in late 2025 and early 2026 wasn't limited to shading Cardi on podcasts and making subliminal Instagram moves. According to Selena Powell, the self-proclaimed industry insider who has spent years building a brand on exposing hip-hop's dirtiest secrets, sometimes with legitimate, verifiable receipts, and sometimes with credibility that's debatable at best, Offset went completely, entirely, and unequivocally off the deep end in a way that shocked even the people who thought they had already seen the worst of him. Powell leaked a FaceTime video recording in which Offset allegedly made direct, explicit, violent threats against Stefon Diggs, specifically threatening to shoot Diggs in the knee, strip him, and rob him. Read that one more time and let the weight of those words settle. That's not shade. That's not subliminal. That's not a metaphor buried in a rap verse that lawyers can argue about interpretation. That is a direct, explicit, on-camera violent threat against a professional NFL athlete recorded on FaceTime and distributed across the entire internet for millions to hear and screenshot and save. The reaction on X was immediate, massive, and absolutely furious. Offset threatening murder, that's jail time. Posts racked up over 9K likes calling him unhinged and dangerously obsessed. Reddit threads declared in unison, "This is turning criminal. Offset's secrets are spilling everywhere and somebody needs to intervene." And yet, as of this recording, no lawsuits or restraining orders have been publicly filed in response to those threats, though insiders consistently whisper that Offset's actions could absolutely lead to serious legal consequences if Diggs or his team ever decide to pursue them. The Powell leaks didn't stop with the threats against Diggs. She also claimed that during those same FaceTime conversations, Offset revealed that he had abandoned Cardi during Culture's birth, a detail that, if true, adds an entirely new dimension of cruelty to his "none that I left went up" bravado on the Joe Budden podcast. Think about the audacity of that for a moment. The man who allegedly wasn't even present when his first daughter with Cardi came into the world. The man who supposedly left his wife alone during one of the most significant and vulnerable moments of her entire life. That same man now wants to sit on a podcast and act like he was the victim, like he was the prize, like the women he left behind should be mourning the loss of him. The math on that doesn't add up, not even close. And then there's the paternity chaos that added yet another layer of insanity to an already unhinged situation. In November 2025, Offset deleted an Instagram post in which he publicly claimed that Cardi's new baby, her son with Stefon Diggs, was actually his child. Let that register. He tried to claim another man's baby on social media. Cardi blasted him publicly as harassing, and rightfully so. The claim was baseless, and everybody knew it, but the intent behind it was transparent. Destabilize Cardi's new family, cast doubt on Diggs' role as a father, inject chaos into their relationship, and keep himself permanently at the center of the narrative, no matter what the cost. Adding even more fuel to an already raging fire, Powell leaked that Diggs couldn't sign the baby's birth certificate because Cardi was still legally married to Offset, a hidden legal complication stemming from the still unfinished divorce that nobody in the public saw coming but that everyone should have predicted given the messy, drawn-out nature of these proceedings. Through all of this madness, the violent threats, the paternity stunts, the strategic leaks, the calculated humiliation, Cardi's response on live was pointed, devastating, and aimed directly at the heart of Offset's ego. She called him out for years of doing her dirty, for riding high on his album and his newfound solo confidence while treating the mother of his children like she was disposable.
You been keep feeling yourself because of your album and you really been doing me dirty after so many years.
And then, in a separate live addressing the full, unfiltered scope of Offset's manipulation, Cardi revealed exactly what he had been doing behind the scenes, deliberately FaceTiming FaceTiming her to parade other women in front of her face, trying to provoke a reaction, trying to make her jealous and insecure even after their relationship was over, even after she had moved on with another man and started a new family.
He's trying to FaceTime me because he's trying to show me the girls that he been, I guess, or talking to.
That is textbook emotional manipulation, plain and simple. That is a man who fundamentally cannot accept that his ex-wife moved on, found some measure of happiness, however briefly, with someone else, and is building a life that doesn't revolve around him. The FaceTime calls were never about showing off or flexing. They were about control, about power, about reminding Cardi that no matter how far she runs, no matter who she dates, no matter how many Super Bowls she performs at, he can still reach into her life and twist the knife. About making sure she never fully escapes his emotional orbit and that behavior pattern, the threats against Diggs, the baseless paternity claims, the deliberate emotional provocation, the strategic leaking of information, paints a picture that goes far beyond petty celebrity drama into something that fans across every platform are now calling obsessive and unhinged. The cultural conversation around this situation has fundamentally shifted. It's no longer about who cheated on who or whose side you're on. The question people are asking now is Cardi safe? So where does all of this leave us in February 2026? Post Super Bowl, post meltdown, post everything that has happened. Cardi B went out and bought herself a $500,000 Audemars Piguet watch as what she called self-care. $500,000 strapped to her own wrist because she decided, conclusively and irreversibly, that if the men in her life weren't going to treat her right, she would treat herself like the queen she already knows she is. X called it queen moves. Trolls called it something far less flattering. But the move spoke volumes about where Cardi's head is at. She is done waiting for a man to validate her worth. Not anymore. Not ever again. Rumors swirled in the days that followed that she called Offset to discuss co-parenting arrangements, that an astrologer publicly predicted reconciliation between them, that a viral AI-generated video, later thoroughly debunked, showed Cardi supposedly regretting having Diggs' baby. The noise was absolutely deafening from every direction, but through all of it, through every rumor and every hot take and every troll comment, Cardi's message remained remarkably consistent. She opened up on a podcast saying, "I regret a lot. I was hurt every day during her time with Offset, but she was done, permanently done, letting that hurt define her future. She was focused on her children, her music, and her money, period." The broader picture here is this: what we've been watching unfold isn't just gossip and entertainment news. This is a cultural mirror reflecting themes of toxic masculinity, cycles of forgiveness that become cycles of abuse, and the brutal perils of trying to build and maintain a public romance in an era where every move you make is documented, screenshotted, and debated by millions of strangers in real time. Offset's trajectory, from cheating husband to threatening ex-husband to podcast troll mocking the mother of his children, represents the absolute worst version of what happens when a man's ego categorically refuses to accept the L and move on with dignity. Cardi's arc, from loyal wife to empowered divorcee to a woman navigating yet another devastating betrayal from yet another man she trusted, represents the messy, complicated, deeply human reality of trying to find love when the whole world is watching and half of them are rooting for you to fail. And the pre-twist at the Super Bowl, that's the universe's way of reminding everybody that the drama between Cardi B and Offset isn't a straight line with a clean ending. It's a circle, and it keeps spinning. As of right now, Cardi appears focused on self-care and her career. But with Offset's persistent and escalating behavior, the still unfinished divorce, the custody implications for multiple children, and the Diggs situation hanging in unresolved limbo, this story is far from over, not even close. The only question that remains is, what chapter comes next? Because if history has taught us one single thing about Cardi B and Offset, it's that the next explosion is never more than one Instagram live away. If you enjoyed this video, click on any of the cards on your screen.